Hey everybody, I'm Chris.
Hey, I'm Bill.
Have you ever asked yourself, what is your superpower?
Everyone has a superpower. Most people just don't know what it is.
We're going to help you uncover it.
This podcast is all about helping people figure out what their truly unique superpower is.
Superpowers, what's yours?
And hello to another Superpowers podcast. You are in for a treat, ladies and gentlemen. We have Mr. Jeff Nicholson with us. We are
Thanks for having me.
excited. We are excited.
Bill, one of these shows I want to open up, but you just have this. Hello! I just don't have that same
By the way,
level
my
of
voice
authenticity.
was meant to do an intro somewhere.
I know.
Right?
I'm so impressed that sometimes I actually stumble over my own thoughts because I'm just impressed with your hello opening, but it's so great. Thanks for doing that.
Polarizing.
Second guest now, Jeff, that this is, in the studio. So first of all, Jeff, outside of the padded walls and that, we've covered that. What's the temperature right now? How do you feel?
It's a crisp 53 degrees in this room. I just want it to be known. I didn't bring my coat.
By the way, so Chris and I learned that David Letterman used to keep his studio down in the 50s.
Correct.
Keep his guests on it.
Yep.
And, if it worked for, Letterman,
It's going to work for the Superpowers podcast show.
Come on now.
It's not working. I want to leave this room immediately.
You look a little frigid. But how's it possible, Jeff, that a Boston guy, which gets a little cold up there. How are you? Well, I mean, you're not used to.
I didn't know you were a Boston guy.
You're not
Born and bred.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, Bill, I didn't. Bill,
By the way, I'm done.
Yeah, that's why. So what we're gonna do for this
one.
one?
I just was talking about how annoying Boston fans are.
Hold on. This is gonna be the lowest rated, unwatched Superpowers podcast because for the next 20 minutes we're gonna talk about the Pat season that wasn't. We're going to talk about the Celtics win against the Lakers last night. Bill, somewhere towards the end, if you want to check, email, we'll get into it.
Yeah.
You're not comfortable with the coldness, but we are a Boston guy. We're in Boston, Jeff.
I always
We're in
joke that I
Boston.
spent 30 years learning to hate it more and more every day, and then finally left.
Yeah.
Straight
What
up.
side of the Boston equation? So I'm from Newton, which is also known as Jewton. It's not as like Southie or Dorchester.
Oh, I'm North Shore ghetto, so it's a lot worse than Newton.
Yeah.
So people from Lawrence and Methuen wish they grew up in Newton. Is kind of how I look at it.
Right.
Hold on a second. But neither of you guys have Boston accents.
Well, I took a class for about 600.
You were born in the North.
Dude, I used to I had this going, and then it was I realized I couldn't get a job offer, I couldn't meet a girl, and I took a class for like $5.99, $600 to lose the accent.
You did.
And it stripped it, like literally pulled the demon out of me. Jeff never heard about the class, so he's still.
I mean, I gave myself the class. No joke. I came to New York nearly 7 years ago. I got disrespected on a phone call for work.
By the way, this is true because he told me this when we had our first dinner.
I love this.
I got disrespected on a phone call. The guy, no joke, goes, "What the fuck are you talking about?" Because I had a Boston accent, which I barely even knew I had one.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, I'm never having that happen again. And I dropped it the next day. And so I trained myself not to have an accent.
It's there though.
If I have a few beers, I'll be
a couple of drinks.
Yeah. Pak de Khan, Havid Yad, like the whole thing. But I dropped it just like because it was straight up.
So I grew up in Long Island. I actually have a really bad Long Island accent. Can
we hear it?
No, because and the funny part is I just would listen to people in college and then after, and I would just start like accepting some of their words and how they pronounce things. So people are like, "Where are you from?" And they can never guess. And I was like, "Oh, Long Island." They were like, "Long Island." And they were like, "I thought." And some people accused me of having a slight Boston accent.
Yeah.
So
I haven't heard it, but speaking of Boston, for this guy that doesn't really care that much about Boston sports, where do I find him at the Super Bowl's after party, Jeff? Who's there?
Yes.
Who goes to the Pat Super Bowl?
Well, listen, when you're at the Super Bowl and the team wins and you're invited to the party,
you go.
You go.
Yeah.
And you immediately become a fan.
Yeah.
Immediately.
So I could talk about that but again, we want to have ratings. So how long, Jeff? How long in the Boston area did you did you spend with your family, and how big is your family, brothers, sisters?
Yeah, no, born and raised. Everybody in my family lives North Shore, Massachusetts.
Yep.
I mean, if you drew a circle from where I was born, you'll hit everybody within an hour radius, like 99% of my family on both sides.
Yep.
That's a good thing, right?
Yeah,
All the family.
Yeah, everybody's home, hanging out. Everybody, I'm the one that left, which kind of sucks, but it's great.
And they pretty much spend all weekend talking about you.
Yeah, talking shit mostly.
Yeah, like can't believe Jeffrey went down. He's like a New York City.
Does anybody know what Jeffrey does?
Yeah, exactly.
He works at Trucker. No, Tracer.
I think something to do with Google, they really don't.
Yeah.
But no, it's great. I'm very proud of it. I love going home.
Yep.
Born and raised, and so it's something that I carry around as a motivational chip, but also a huge amount of respect.
Now, if we're at that Thanksgiving dinner that you're not at because you're probably like too busy or in Asia doing some work or whatever. And a story came up about you, little Jeffrey. Oh. I want to know about the side hustle. For some reason, out of all of our guests, I feel like you have to have. I feel like right now I want to call the show. Can we call today's show is like side hustling or something?
Yeah.
Talk to us about what your family would say about little Jeffrey.
Yeah.
And by the way, these people can't get you anymore. You're safe in the studio. Principals, the police in Boston can't get you. So just let us have it.
Yeah, I'll give you.
And by the way, it's about to warm up very quickly.
Yeah, I'll give you two. I'll give you one that's my original entrepreneurship side hustle was selling lobsters. So my dad, straight up Boston, right? Like lobsters.
Love it.
Like my dad scuba dived for 30 years. Okay, it was his hobby. So every Sunday, I'd wait for him to come home. He'd go really early in the morning, like 6 a.m. Come home at 10, and I got to count the lobsters, band them, and figure out how much we were going to sell them for. And
so he would scuba,
catch them with his hands
off of the coast of Massachusetts,
Rockport.
Catch them by the hand. And how many would he bring back?
You're talking like anywhere from 10 to 30 on a weekend.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
But, so I'm a warm weather scuba diver. By the way, one of my favorite things to do on Earth is scuba dive. Amazing. But there's no visibility up there, dude. There's no visibility. So how are you?
So he's gangster. So he's old school military.
Can't see.
You have 2-foot visibility, so you could have sharks around you. You won't see them. He's reaching into a 5-foot hole with his arm, and he's pulling out 8-pound lobsters with his hands.
And these are lobsters that are snapping away.
So the biggest one he ever caught was around 22 pounds. So when you think about 22 pounds, you're holding it with two hands. Yeah. The claw's the size of your forearm, and if it bites your hand, it will break your hand. Okay? Yeah. So he has no fear. The man is in 60 feet of water. You can't see anything. He's sticking his hand in a dark hole to pull lobsters out.
Why are you on this fucking show right now?
Okay.
Where's your dad?
Yeah, exactly. My superpower was my father, by the way.
Yeah.
Okay. And so, he would come home, and the reason I became an entrepreneur, no joke, this is my first business, was I looked at him and I go, Dad, I was just at the market. It's $7.99 a pound. Why the F are you giving these away for free to the neighbors? Yeah. And I got upset about the money.
Yeah.
So he started letting me sell half of them. So every Sunday, he'd come home.
Not the lobster in half, like your own lobster.
Yeah. So we go, hey, there's 10 lobsters. I got to sell 5.
Yeah.
And I got to sell the price. I set the price based on what the market was. I do a little under the market, so I was cheaper than the grocer.
Yeah.
And I started selling them to the neighbors, and that was my first business.
Wow.
And then the second one I had was a little.
Did you have to split the profits with your dad? He didn't care.
No, I got a percentage of the profits, and then he would reinvest in kind of like the maintenance. So then I had to do cost of goods. So it was like his air in his tanks, new gloves, and we managed the whole business.
Oh, so he made you pay for that stuff.
Yeah, and then and then we had a cost of the service, and then what happens was I got a margin, the rest of the profits, and then he'd let me. This was the coolest thing. He'd let me gamble my profits on the NFL. So I got to pick a game a week if I wanted to gamble, which was
God
dope,
bless my dad's not alive anymore, but I really love your dad.
Yeah.
I mean, like,
it was cool as hell. So like my dad would I'm running a small business. He's teaching me about how to do it. And then he'd let me fucking gamble on a game.
By the way, when you go out to eat, old school, like Anthony's Pier 4, unfortunately not there anymore. But, those lobsters up there, that plate is what? $39, $49 market, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's
it kills me. Like, I can't even order a lobster at a restaurant.
Yeah.
No,
I can't do it.
Yeah.
I mean, just straight up, I can't do it.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean,
so your dad, is your dad still doing this to this day?
He just stopped recently. My dad's nearly 70 years old. He got to the point where he doesn't. So this last season he went a few times. He hasn't been doing it as much lately, but he's over 30 years he was doing it. And
Unbelievable.
I was selling him for years.
I'm just curious.
Wow.
Is the lobster population?
You have siblings, brothers, sisters?
I have an older brother.
Wait, before we do siblings,
was he part of the biz?
No.
Lobster population. How's the lobster population right now? Just like super curious. Are we good with lobsters up there?
I think we're good just because regulations are so strong that honestly, like they do a really good job of protecting like the breeders and the females and making sure that it's actually really strict on taking lobsters out of the water. So that's getting better and better because the consumption is just so high.
Okay, now what about the side hustle that your family didn't know because
the second one a little bit was I'll tell the tamer story and then I'll tell you the one off cycle. But I sold golf clubs, but as a secondary marketplace because I worked at a pro shop. So I did get approval from my boss, but basically what I would do is I would take the clubs from the used bucket. I started posting them online when no one was doing that.
Yeah.
And then I basically became the secondary marketplace for my boss online for used clubs. And
nice.
my parents didn't know I was doing that one for a little while until like all of a sudden there was like 25 golf clubs and a bunch of boxes at the house that I was mailing out, and they're like, "What are you doing?
Right.
Like, are you stealing from work?"
Yeah.
And I'm like, "No, but I am running a marketplace," and my boss loved it, so it was cool. But
so you gave him.
I gave him a cut, and then I was making thousands on the side. I was making more on the side than he was paying me full time, which was pretty cool.
What was it? Did you enjoy having that little extra pocket cash at that time? It was fun making money, right?
That was when my parents started asking questions. It was one thing with the clubs, and then all of a sudden I started buying shit. And they're like, you can't afford that.
Yeah. Right. Like, whoa. What?
They're like, are you selling drugs or like, did you beat somebody up or
who do you owe money to?
So that was when that was the older one in high school, which was pretty cool.
Okay. That's awesome.
Yeah.
But hold on. So what are the dynamics of your older brother not being in the lobster business?
Like, he's not.
That's a personal question, Bill.
No. I like that. No, I like that. We were extremely close, but extremely competitive. So we'd either decide that we're going to compete or we're doing it together. In this case, that was my business, and I wanted him to do nothing with my business.
Yeah.
So he was not included. Dad, he could have gotten the other half and did it. He just didn't have an interest. It was more of like my thing.
Got it.
Right.
Yeah.
All right. Love that.
Your dad liked you a little bit more. Okay, so now where do you go to school?
I went to Babson College.
Yes, we talked about that. I apologize. My dad went to Babson. Yeah. What made you you wanted to stay local?
Honestly, to be very frank, my mom picked.
Yeah.
I was a very immature.
Boy.
Yeah.
Mama's
I was
boy.
very immature. I honestly didn't know what the hell to do with myself. I was out of control, very smart, but just didn't have direction.
Was college a definite thing that you wanted or your family wanted?
I wanted.
You wanted it.
I wanted it, but I didn't know where to go. And then I was a big hoops player, so I used basketball to get into a bunch of the schools, including Babson, but really didn't know what to pick because I didn't know what I wanted to do.
Did you play hoops in college?
I did. I played at Babson as well.
Oh, awesome.
And so I chose Babson really with my mom based on the fact that it was close, it was local, it was a good school, and she felt like it was a good match for my skill set, and she was very, very right. Babson changed my life.
How old were you? This is our first collegiate
athlete,
I think.
I don't know that to be true or untrue.
I'm trying to think of our former. Yeah. I mean, definitely.
Very cool though.
Yeah.
I'll take maybe first.
When did you? How old were you when you dunked your first NBA-sized basketball?
I was 13.
Yeah.
You dunked at 13?
Yeah. 13.
Look at his height.
Yeah.
It's like
I was
6'9".
6 feet at the
so
time.
Jealous.
It was like just before freshman year, and I started.
And
creeping over the rim.
And you loved your Babson experience.
I loved it. I preach about it. I go back and teach. I love the school. It changed my life. It offered me opportunity around global perspective, networking, and taught me skills that I still use today.
Pretty small school. What for
2,500?
Somebody out there is maybe thinking about going to school and they've heard of Babson. What should they know about Babson?
Babson is in Wellesley, Massachusetts. So that's just west of Boston, about 20 minutes. Beautiful campus, tree lined, absolutely gorgeous. 4 full seasons. It's 2,500 kids, all business. And really what I tell you is they give you the full gambit of business education, from accounting and finance to operations to marketing. They're going to teach you how to run a successful business, both SMB all the way to Fortune 100. And then I think their preparation for the workplace is far exceeding a lot of the other schools when you talk about tangible skill sets and what you're going to do every day.
Awesome.
By the way, I have a friend who runs a business unit within a big bank. They exclusively recruit college athletes. And college athletes have a higher GPA than non-college athletes. So you would think that, there's just it's so much it's the demand on you if you're playing a sport.
Motivation.
But you learn time management at a very early age.
Well, and you get a lot of ambitious people, right?
Yeah.
I think a lot of the thing that I hire for, and I think a lot of people like athletes as a kind of a criteria, is you're looking for hungry, driven, ambitious people.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah.
A lot of the time when you're looking for young people, you're going to teach them what their job is anyways. Quite often when you hire someone from college, they're not going to know what their job is.
Yeah.
And even if they're great from Babson or Harvard or anything else, maybe they have 20% of the applicable skills.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Right? So you want someone who's
And actually,
gonna grind.
anyone who has the relevant skills, if they were killing it with those relevant skills, they wouldn't be looking for a job.
That's right.
Right.
So I actually love hiring people with no relevant experience.
Me too.
But hungry, driven.
Oh,
athletes.
I prefer it.
Right.
I actually prefer hiring college graduates. You know why? No bad habits.
Right.
Yeah.
No one screwed them up.
Yep.
To be very honest, a lot of the problem in our industry and even in global corporate, people get bad habits taught from bad habits.
Right.
Yeah.
They hand down the template from the person before.
Yeah.
And generationally, those things get worse.
Right. Yeah.
Now, when does it stop? When someone's challenging that. That
Yeah.
doesn't happen very
Right.
often at large score institutions. The
Yep.
training programs don't get better; they get worse.
So how good of a college basketball player were you? Like, did you start?
Yeah, I was rookie of the year in the conference, so I was pretty good.
Jeez.
That's good.
So I turned down full boat scholarships at Division II and other schools to play D3 because my mom, and rightfully so, kudos mom, chose education over basketball.
Yeah.
But I was a McDonald's All-American nomination in high school. I was pretty good.
Wow.
Wow.
And
Yeah.
local
Wow.
local in your home state. That's amazing.
Yeah, I
right
was
down the road.
I mean, high school I was top. My senior year I was top 10 in scoring. I was dropping like 25 a game. I played 5 hours a day.
Yeah.
For my entire life.
Wow.
I loved hoops. Really.
What about
loved the
now?
game.
What's basketball? Or I can imagine sometimes I feel like people that did that so long, it's not that they're burnt, but they're like, yeah, I can kind of.
I got burnt in college. I definitely got to the point where I was just like, man, I'm doing 7 days a week. I'm lifting. I'm training. I'm getting yelled at. I'm like doing school. I want to go out. I just got to the point where it's like, I need a break a little bit.
Yeah.
Now I just enjoy the game. I like to watch. I watch a lot of Celtics games. My 5-year-old is starting to go, so I'll go and take him. But I never.
Are you looking forward to coaching your son?
Yes and no.
Yeah.
I'm nervous about pushing too hard because I was so good and aggressive and into it, and I don't want to make him me.
Yeah.
So I'm a little, but I really like to watch the kids. It's super fun to coach and then say something and go. I remember my dad saying that 20 years ago.
So so my midlife after getting past 40, I play men's over 40 hockey.
Yeah.
Which I think is kind of cool and fun, and even though the games are at 10 o'clock on Sunday, which sucks. And my kids play, part of Rye Rangers, and I definitely need to work on this, and it's a struggle where I push them. They give me that look where I'm like, I'm going to break them or they're not going to talk to me. So you go to the coach next, like there's 10 dads, and I'm like, Bill, can you coach Henry? He's like, can you coach Paul? And they will listen to those. They will listen to those stranger dads all day long. But the second they hear their dad, it's different. So monitor that.
Yeah.
All right. So
it's something to think about. It's you never know. You don't want to push too hard.
So basketball was a. I didn't realize. Obviously, we spent time together, Jeff. I didn't realize it was such a cornerstone in your life. Where did that? So now you have this great. You have this great time in Babson.
Mm-hmm.
You graduated with your degree. You played some hoops, and now you're like, what's next?
Yeah.
And what were you like in college? Like, were you out like?
I was still out of control.
You're still out of control.
Immature,
and I appreciate
out of
you
control.
being. I can't say that for our listeners. I know, like.
Is it like a work hard, play hard type of thing? Right.
Just excess. I always used to joke that I would push on everything.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, my mom. I'll tell a quick story. You want to talk about like crazy? My mom came down for my 24th birthday. We actually were on campus post me graduating, and we were sitting there, and she started crying. I'm like, Mom, why are you crying? It's my birthday. And she goes, I didn't think you were going to make 24.
Sorry.
So I was pushing real hard.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So it took me a little while to, kind of get good perspective on being an adult and in control.
Yeah.
So what do? You graduate college. What's like your first job?
Wait, before you answer that, sorry, but it's relevant. Any other outside influences, girlfriend, group of friends, anyone else that kind of kept this out of control, kid with great potential?
Family, 100%. My mom, my dad, my brother.
Network. Yeah. Okay.
Like really tight
that.
with the fam. I mean, they were the guiding influence.
Right.
Guiding me away from myself, pretty much.
Great.
Straight up.
Okay, so
sorry, first out of college was Mellon Financial, so classic Babson thing, right? Everyone tells you go into finance. I'm great at math. My brother worked there. Started in the entry-level analyst position and hated it.
Yeah.
I literally lasted 9 months, and I quit. It was the worst experience.
So you lasted 9 months, but how far into it were you thinking about quitting?
Day 3.
Yep. Day 3 is when it happens.
Bad. Yeah, I mean, I would say 90% of the things I do as a boss, manager, and just honestly like driver and leader are predicated off all of the negative experience I had in my first 5 years.
Yeah.
I try to remember being 22, sitting in a room and going, what would I like as a boss? Or, as, and like, kind of delivering that, because my experience was horrible.
You know what's funny is day one shit, you're like, oh my God. And then I imagine maybe you're like, you know what, day two, I just give this a second chance. Day two is going to be better. And then you're like, oh my God, day two is the same as day one.
Have I told you my executive recruiting career?
I think so.
Day one, I called up everyone. I was like, I can get you a job. I was recruiting accounting professionals.
Yes, yes, I did know this story.
Day one, you can get a job. Day two, this sucks. Day three, I quit, but get me this job.
Yeah.
So I placed myself at my own job
that
I was supposed to be recruiting for.
Yeah, no, it was sobering. And I remember sitting there going, oh my God, please don't let this be my entire life, sitting in a cubicle with no training, no one caring about me. And honestly, my work was so
hold on, what did your parents do?
My parents, so my father worked 42 years at Raytheon, so he was drafted in the Vietnam War. You know, the dream, drafted. Came back, and then went to a defense company, worked there 42 years, worked himself up into management, and had a great career, and just retired recently. Kudos, Dad. Love you. And Mom was stay-at-home mom, and then jack of all trades. Anything from worked at AT&T to is the office manager at the doctors and everything in between. Probably the smartest one in the family, but didn't get a chance, never went to college.
Well, wasn't a chance. She was parenting.
She was one of five.
She was the oldest. She was prioritizing her family. So,
I mean, my mom is the ultimate gangster. I mean, she would literally clean toilets, deliver newspapers, anything for $1 for the fam. And so, mucho respect to both of them, but, very much blue collar and grinded it out.
Why did you stay? So with this first gig that sucked, it was just because you were young. You stayed.
I was terrified.
You stayed 9 months. You're like, where do I go? Right?
I was terrified. I mean, think about it.
But were you terrified of quitting or terrified about telling your parents you're quitting?
Terrified of both.
Yeah.
You're terrified of, okay, if I quit, what am I going to do next? Terrified of telling my parents because I just went to college, paid a massive check for college to get the job I'm at, which everyone thinks is amazing.
Yeah.
And I'm sitting there going, oh, it's like the cliche thing. And so, I quit. Everybody was upset with me. The entire family, who was my support system, was like, Jeff, you idiot. What are you doing?
Yep.
And I had no job for like 4 months.
No.
It was really bad.
Prior to that 9.
But you didn't know to get the job before you quit?
Honestly, I did the classic thing. It was so bad, I couldn't go the next day.
Yeah.
It was just like, I knew I was doing all of the things that I would coach against, and it just didn't matter because I physically couldn't walk into the building.
But meanwhile, your older brother's there.
My older brother he gave me a beating in a lot of ways because he got me the job. Embarrassing how embarrassing it is. Your brother quits. By the way, I didn't handle that well. I quit very poorly as well. And my brother works here. He's a senior executive. He's like, you're an idiot.
Yeah.
I mean, no one in the family would talk.
By the way,
really
prior to that, were you terrified? Or like, I need to last this out because you had visions of like putting your hands into rocks, pulling lobsters out if you get out of there too early?
Yeah,
that was never an option. You're like,
I knew that wasn't going to make enough money.
And by the way, he never went into the water.
I know that's what I'm saying.
Hell no, I'm not sticking my arm in the hole.
Your arm's going.
He's way too pretty to put his arm in the hole.
Thank you, Bill. Way too pretty for this.
Right.
I'm not doing that. I couldn't go back to that. So it was a scary thing.
So you leave that job, 4 months off. What next?
Mom hero again. Charlene is an absolute savage. Family friend is okay. So this is how crazy. Mom's friend's husband is the CFO of a small startup called iProspect.
Of course.
I know very well.
Yep.
But I was employee number 74 in Watertown, Massachusetts.
Yeah.
And I sat down, and they needed young, smart college kids to run ads.
Yep.
And I learned how to run ads on Google.
Yep.
And my life completely changed.
Yep.
And in 2 weeks, I knew that was going to be what I did because I was spending hundreds of thousands of dollars. I was great at it. And no one knew how to run ads because everybody was learning on the fly.
Yeah. So you understood this first concept of arbitrage.
It hit me immediately.
No, but hold on. You have 9 months of experience. You get hired, and you're now responsible for literally hundreds of thousands of dollars
within weeks.
Within weeks.
Yeah, because what I learned is I walked in. Lovely name, Marge O'Brien. I love this woman very dearly. She was my boss. She sat down, and she didn't really know how to run ads. She knew some stuff, but no one did. I mean, this is like early. Like Frederick, who was the originally founder.
I remember.
He wrote the original book on SEO and SEM, right?
Yeah.
And so we're sitting there, and she looks at me and goes, figure it out, basically. And I was like, ooh, we get to tinker and problem solve, and it was completely up my alley, and then it was just game over.
For those
a lot of trust that spend that money.
Yeah.
So for those listening who are like, what the hell are these guys talking about? So before Google really became Google, right? They were a popular, search engine, but there were other popular search engines.
Yep.
So people started building technology around looking at the ROI of spending on search.
Yep.
Google ended up pretty much monopolizing it.
But there was Bing, Yahoo, Ask Jeeves.
Ask Jeeves, sure.
All these
Ask.com. No, who's the one? Overture is the one I was thinking
the original, yes.
Yeah. So GoTo.com was
GoTo.
Yeah.
Name dropping.
So that's where. So back then there wasn't any relevant experience for that. So you just stepped into a point in time that may never be created again.
Never.
Right. I mean, it's like there was literally a period of a few months where there was nobody with relevant experience. This was a new thing. Google's just starting to become popular. And that is so. It is like luck, right time, right place.
It's the
all the above,
and then it's the perfect match of skills, right? It's a combination of liking creative and kind of that marketer dynamic, and then purity of math and understanding economics. And I was just like, I sat down, and I'll never forget. It was Brooks Brothers. I figured out optimizations on landing pages. So I started just testing everything. Bidding strategies, landing pages, creative. I'm running the ad, I'm writing the ads, the text. So you're everything, right?
Yeah.
And I started testing, I'll never forget, outfits. So outfit purchasing versus single product for women on Brooks Brothers. Quadrupled revenue on the landing page within a week. The woman calls me and she's like, "What are you doing? Please keep doing it. I'm going to get promoted." And I was
just
like,
do that thing.
"Oh my God, this is awesome."
Yeah.
I made her hundreds of thousands of dollars. This is the coolest game in the world.
Right.
And I've been doing it ever since.
So now, as I recall, iProspect was acquired by like IPG.
Yes.
Yep.
They've been multiple times over. Now a huge global.
So how long did you stay at iProspect, and were you there when IPG acquired it?
I stayed for a year and a half. They were acquired later than that. He had sold the business once while I was there. Frederick, I forget who he sold it to. He sold a partial of the business, made millions.
Yep.
And then they sold it after the fact, after I left. So I was there for a year and a half, basically sucked up all the knowledge of how to run ads.
Yep.
And then was recruited to an MIT incubator group. So my best friend and I, Addie Connor, we met at iProspect. We both got recruited to this group, and her and I worked there for nearly 4 years, almost 5.
So this is an MIT
incubator group. It was this guy by the name of Dave Blunden. Most people don't know the guy, but he made nearly $1 billion selling multiple tech companies over and over again. Boston, very smart man. And it was a group of MIT fraternity brothers. And they started fostering a network of recruiting and hiring and business, and they were leveraging centralized technology and building multiple vertical businesses.
Yep.
And her and I were recruited to run ads. And so we ran ads and helped build 2 of the businesses. One was called Course Advisor, and the other one was Lead Karma. Course Advisor sold for $100 million to Don Graham in the Washington Post.
Yep.
And Lead Karma sold for $30 million to Bankrate.
What was the core sort of asset of those sales?
All of it was a centralized technology, actually kind of similar to Tracer.
Yep.
It was aggregated analytics. And so when you think about, back in the day, you start running ads on Google and then Yahoo and then Bing. Well, people really had a hard time concatenating Excel. I mean, it's the same problem we have, just really basic back then. And they had a technology, I believe it was actually called Uber. I forget the term, but it was just analyzed. It was aggregated analytics and then basically simple optimization strategies.
So then, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
So you do this for 3-4 years.
Yep.
After having a year and a half, 2 years of search experience.
Yep.
So, and at some point you meet Gary Vee.
Yeah. So built the 2 businesses with my best friend, really started to run all channels. So I'm doing like everything, affiliate. I bought at one point 300 million emails and spammed everybody in America. I mean, it's physically impossible for the 2 of you not to receive spam from me.
Nice.
Okay. Start buying programmatic.
Thank you, by the way.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
It sure worked. By the way, it really worked. And so really started testing all these channels. Built those companies. They sold, didn't want to go to the public company. So when Lead Karma was really the business I built with my boss, Akshay, that sold to Bankrate. I didn't want to go work at a large-scale financial service company. And then my best friend was like, "Hey, why don't you come down to New York?" And so the business I joined was called Social Code. So that was a business before Vayner.
Oh,
So
Social Code,
So I built Social Code with my best friend. She was the founder of the company.
Yep.
And we became the largest spender on Facebook in North America.
Wasn't, am I getting to another social, was there a Social Code out of DC?
So that's the same one.
That's
so
the same
what happened
one.
was when they moved it from DC, so that was actually spun out of the MIT incubator group. This is a crazy story. We were running ads at Course Advisor.
Yeah.
Okay. Started running ads on Facebook because we caught an affiliate. No joke. I caught an affiliate running my offer on Facebook, right-hand rail.
And you're like, how'd that happen?
I was like, that's illegal.
Yep.
Refund. So I made like 30 G's on that because they wasted the money. And then I launched Facebook ads the next day with Addie. totally give her all the credit. It was her idea, and she was like, this is going to become a business. And so we started, I think we made $250,000 the second or third day in profit on education lead gen on Facebook.
What year?
Oh, this was, I knew you were going to ask me. 7 year, 8.
07.
It's got to be like 2010.
10, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
9.
I only asked because that time, when we started App Savvy in 07, monetizing Facebook, I was like, that wild west was so much fun.
It was
until it wasn't. I mean, it was, 3 years of basically being able to build on this incredible
you could do whatever you wanted.
Of hundreds of millions of people, make money, like whatever, but, which we don't have enough time to talk about, but the Facebook sort of craziness and the algorithms changing and shut it. Like there should be a story with how many companies went out of business as a result of algorithms.
Or
they
the
wrote
number of
creative practice against us.
Yeah.
I used to write ads. Are you 22? ? And then target what? 22-year-olds only.
Yeah.
Now my click-through rates are what? 70% higher than everyone else's. They actually wrote creative policies against Addie and I against that because I would do every variable in the demographics, and then people would be like, click.
I'm convinced. I'm convinced this conspiracy theories like they literally will watch and learn something they don't know. They pick and choose. They'll shut that down. They'll copy that. They very rarely buy it, and it's kind of a beautiful way. But unfortunately, millions of dollars of venture will go sideways, and people lose jobs because eventually Facebook does what it has to do. So it was Social Code.
Yeah, so came down to New York for Social Code with my best friend. So it's like, again, we were just hacking on kind of, what came to be opportunistically, through the MIT Incubator Group. And then built that for a year and a half. And then that's when I met Gary. I hit the point with Social Code where great business, but I wanted to be macro, right? Global, largest brands on the planet. Social Code was more a specific channel I wanted to play. Yeah,
so where was Gary at that time with Vayner and his agency?
So this is nearly 5 years ago. The company was pretty much a creative agency.
Yeah.
There was no media spend, social community management. And I requested to meet Gary. I'll never forget it. We met at 10:30 at night on the Upper West Side at some random,
pizza place?
Yeah, some random pizza joint or Italian spot or something. It was like the weirdest thing. I'm like, this is really
By the way,
odd.
that's so... the funny part is I ran into Gary, this is like maybe 2 years ago at an industry event. And I go, hey, Gary, Bill Wise. He goes, I know who you are. And he goes, we should spend time together. And then, someone reaches out to me. It was like, Gary requests to meet with you at a pizza place on the Upper West Side.
Yeah. He has the most random places. It's either like near where he's going to be or like he knows the owner. It's like the funny thing. So, I requested to meet him because I was looking at new opportunities and I was debating between, Google and Oracle, starting my own business and really powering up with a few other people.
Yep.
And I decided with Gary on kind of really 3 simple things. 1, principles, we got along. We both love to grind, love to work, and wanted to build something big.
Yep.
2, I wanted to incubate a media company inside of a creative agency. I felt like it was the move given the industry and the dynamics 5 years ago.
Yep.
People weren't appreciating they needed to play together. And then 3, I really wanted a business that I felt we could kind of put on, exponential kind of gasoline, right? You think about he already had a lot of being Gary.
Yep.
They were on the cusp of being something great. And I felt like there was a huge arbitrage of advantage around taking that and then starting to grow it. So the last 5 years, I think we've done a good job of that. And it's been a fun run.
You were chief media officer.
Yes.
But was that day one or did you grow to that?
So I didn't take the title day one, but I ran the entire media department. So I've been day one global chief media officer. And then we've gone from 7 people to nearly 225 globally. And from a couple $1 million to over 400 million.
Yeah.
So it's been fun.
And that's incredible.
Just changed as of 2 weeks ago, full-time tracer. Stepping aside in the agency business, felt like half a decade was a good run, and still supporting the business, but focused on tracer.
We're getting into tracer. So be remiss if we didn't ask maybe Gary. Obviously, spent some time with Gary. So has Bill. You've obviously worked with him. For those people that just know his Insta feed and just know kind of the Gary that you know from the outside that haven't spent time with him, what should they know? What sort of interesting insight about Gary that maybe they can't see off of his kind of his core kind of marketing and messaging?
Yeah, I think the thing I always start with, because I get this question a lot, about Gary's not just that. I always try to not defend him, but almost educate people that he is a very sweet man, number one.
Yep.
He cares very deeply. He will spend time with me. We talk family. He very much cares. Two, he's extremely calculated in what he's doing.
Mm-hmm.
He is very, very smart. I think people see him and they make assumptions about him being loud or swearing.
Mm-hmm.
He is very bright, and he
Yeah.
definitely has a game plan. And then three, I think people need to understand in context what he's trying to deliver, right? If you have a content or topic that he's screaming about, it's not so literal. Like sometimes he's just trying to make a point to help people, and it's not always for everybody, right? Like he's not like the college one is the one I use a lot. Gary's not against college.
Yeah.
He's against college for some people because everyone's told they need to go.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think that people get negative with Gary and they say, oh, Gary hates college. It's like, did you actually listen to the message? He's just saying don't be forced into college. Those are the things that I typically try to do. And I love him as a business partner. It's been great.
Yeah.
Now, when you have someone like Gary who's so freaking positive, dude, is everyone around him just as positive, or like he's just so freaking positive that you're like, I can't be that positive.
Yeah,
like
I actually think everybody at our company is pretty freaking positive.
Yeah,
I enjoy. I'm a pretty positive guy.
Yep.
I love life, and I think everyone has their perspective on how they got there. But I think for us, it's actually really fun. We have really positive people culturally, and I think that he likes to surround himself that way, and I do as well. So we have a weird dynamic in that regard. Like we don't have a lot of negativity at all.
By the way, I could just imagine like everyone being like, "Hey Jeff, you look great today." No, you look great today. Like it's like, it's just like
it's a lot of fun. It's weird. It's weird. Like people come in the office and they talk about the vibe and the energy a lot, and it's cliche in some places, but for us, it's just people are having fun.
How much? I swear I'm not going to spend time on the Pats because how much shit talking for such an avid and huge. Wants to own the New York Jets one day, which, by the way, he will own some percentage of that team one day. There's no question. I don't know if it's 1% or 20%, but that's going to happen. But Patriots shit talking Jets, enjoy that fun, or is it kind of like, hey, dude, we're building?
It's funny. So
or is it off limits?
Or is that off limits because I want to get paid?
Weirdly off limits. Okay, so Gary's so obsessive with the Jets.
Yeah.
I'm so obsessive with the Celtics.
Yes.
The Patriots are not like I care, but it's not the Celtics.
You're a
so we've
guy.
kind of agreed to not, fuck with each other in a
Sure.
weird way. So like we'll go and hang out and support, but we don't talk Patriots Jets pretty much at all. I won't bring it up.
So the funny part is, I am unfortunately a diehard Miami Dolphins fan, which sucks. And
last week you said Giants.
That's because you got invited to a party.
I am literally a diehard Miami Dolphin fan, and it is like the worst thing ever. Is the worst.
Steve
but when they
appreciates
win,
it though, Steve.
But so the funny part is, I feel like I have so Gary partnered with Steve Ross.
Yeah. He owns a third of VaynerMedia.
He owns a third of it.
People don't know that.
So I found that out, and I was like, wait, he owns the Miami Dolphins.
Yeah.
Like, so I'm trying to work with Gary to get in there. And then the other interesting Gary thing is, he grew up in a town that's literally minutes from where my wife grew up in Belarus.
Really?
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Gotta bring him back there and say hello to the people.
Yeah. So
he's a great guy. We did I'm sit on the board of Build.org, a non-for-profit for inner city kids.
Oh, that's awesome.
He joined us a couple years ago, and my 10-second Gary story. I met him 14 years ago. At a lobby conference in Hawaii, out of all places, and I heard this loud voice. There were 10 or 12 people around him, and I swear I'm going to kind of butcher the story, but he was basically saying the idea was that everyone would live on an island for like a year, and ideas would be generated. And I remember stopping because like I was motivated to go to the bar, and then like I turned around, I was like, "Oh, what's up, Gary?" And like you could tell people were like perplexed and I just knew like that stage, and then the Gary thing grew. And and every time I see him, I always remind him he knows the story. But like what you heard was like sound like a crazy person. He's like, it was like Survivor, and I don't know where it was going. It didn't matter. The point was like you hear something like that come out of someone's mouth, right? And then look, I mean, it's true. So audience, if you hear anyone saying some crazy shit, maybe it's not that crazy. So you have this incredible working relationship with Gary, total gift. I'm sure you've learned a lot there. And been a part of the Vayner story, but you're also building Tracer, your company. So let's talk about Tracer. And before we do, can you show everyone what you may or may not have on your arm?
You can take the Boston, the kid out of Boston.
That's a meathead right there. That's a meathead, Folly. I love that.
My tattoo is our logo. I got it on my 36th birthday.
Yep.
What's the other tattoo on the side?
The other one is the two baby boys' birthdays. So I don't forget. Don't forget,
I love that.
2 baby boys. Love Love my boys.
By the way, I want to say one thing about this guy. When we finally were so overdue with having a catch up, and we had this amazing dinner somewhere on Park Avenue South, and I just remember the family. I didn't know where it was going to go. I knew we were going to bond over Boston sports, but then a huge part of our conversation was family and kids and all that. And I just want to shout that out.
Love my baby boys. They're the best.
By the way, so I got introduced to you through Keith Kaplan.
That's right.
Remember?
Cappy.
And Cappy told me he's us, but like younger. He's
36. Don't give him that much.
Yeah, but
I know.
You're younger than me too. So and Cappy's older than me. So he was like, "Dude, do you remember us like 15 years ago?" Yeah, that's Jeff.
Yeah.
And he may throw an F-bomb or two more than we did.
Do you remember, Bill, when you could stay up past 9:45 on Tuesday? That's Jeff. Yeah. Right. So tell us about Tracer. What is Tracer?
Tracer is a data processing platform. So basically, we join disparate data sets to answer the questions you want to answer. I typically tell people, if you're a retail client, you want to know return on ad spend by audience. Well, what do you have to do to answer that? I have to join investment data with transactional data. If I'm a retailer with online and offline data, I have 2 sets of transactional data. I need to join that at a level which will aggregate to the investment data. Maybe I'm going to roll it up at DMA because I have to match a brick and mortar, and that's how I buy my linear television. So we solve data problems for everyone. We service Fortune 100s. We service tech companies. We have multiple agency clients. Really, I just try to solve the most complex data problems with our platform.
So as I remember, so you didn't come up with Tracer. It was like you were managing media on behalf of some of the largest brands within Vayner, and you were like, we need a data platform and an operating system to manage, and a tech platform to manage this.
Yeah, so what happened was, it was actually a calculated decision day one when I joined Vayner. So my co-founder started day one with me. His name's Leighton Welsh. Yep. And then the other gentleman who started with me is John Morgenstern. So John is the head of investment at Vayner. So we actually planned Tracer day one as first an incubated engineering solve, and then I knew I was going to break it out as a separate company and go commercially viable.
When it was time.
Yeah. Now, I had come up with the idea actually a couple years before, because I was solving the problem of, I'm spending money on Facebook and Google and everything else, and everyone's concatenating data in Excel still. And when you run ads and you know the problem, it was like, okay, we need to have a solution here. Yeah. So for 3 years, we built the technology in stealth as an incubated engineering team at Vayner as our secret weapon. So I didn't tell anyone about it. So
interesting.
We're selling.
So you were incubating it, but using it to manage existing client campaigns.
Yes. Well, it's a win. It's a win.
So
right?
power testing over 100 people over 3 years. I'm using it for my advantage, but no one knew about it. So if you were to say, Jeff, here's $10 million to manage, and the price is 10% on media spend, or whatever the normal thing is, I'm just rolling that into my normal cost and doing business as usual. They don't know I'm doing that.
That was the secret sauce. Who knows if they really cared or needed to care? There's results that are being generated the right way, and now it's, if I'm summarizing correctly, you're going independent.
Yep.
You're going independent. You're kind of standing this brand up, and you're welcoming outside clients.
Yes. So. I mean,
and
it's
maybe capital.
Yeah.
So
we power all of the analytics at Vayner. So every client at Vayner is powered by our platform. And then some of the clients are now signing up directly because they want it internally. Right. So if you look at a classic problem, like Fortune 100 client, okay, you're spending hundreds of millions of dollars just in North America alone.
Yeah.
You're using 3 to 5 media agencies, 3 creative agencies, a verification partner, Google Analytics, an ad server, and you're buying across a minimum 1,000 publishers.
Sounds broken, fragmented, and I'm losing money.
Now, even across the 5 partners that you pay to manage your business, they don't talk. So how do you aggregate data at any level of standardization or police that? You don't. And if you ask a large-scale marketer typically how much they spent yesterday, they don't know the answer.
Yeah.
Why not? I get an email every day in my account for every dollar I spend across every client globally. When I'm spending millions of dollars a day, I wouldn't even be feeling that I'm doing my due diligence as a manager of the dollars if I didn't have control of that. So we're giving people that power back. I always
is it power back, or is it that you're creating for the first time visibility that you can have that visibility?
I think it's power. In some cases, people gave it away, right? Or they're not fighting enough for it. So I always say power back, because you had to give it away first because you should have had it in the first place, right?
Makes sense.
So I'm interested in the dynamics of, Gary finds you, you find Gary. Mm-hmm. You go to work at Vayner to launch. They were a creative company. They're launching a media business. Yep. You're launching that media business. Mm-hmm. You go in day one and say, I'll launch the media business, but I really want to build this. Mm-hmm. but let's launch the media business. I'll build it to actually help the media business. And did you negotiate up front, like the break-off, economics, equity?
No.
Like,
So, and this is why I pay so much respect to Gary. Gary, as a business partner and as a mentor and as a boss, did the one thing that nobody would. He had a fair conversation with me later on because he knew that I built value, and it was, hey, let's do this together as business partners. So I probably should have, to protect myself, and, you live and learn and grow.
Yep.
But I was looking for a business partner that I could have that relationship and dynamic, and luckily I found that person finally. I never had that before.
So you continue to be business partners with Gary and Vayner, who's assumedly a large shareholder.
He's a large equity partner along with Steve, and so we are partners in that business, and that cap tables differently. And we had a mutually beneficial conversation around, hey, how do we both have incentives as a business, but also, what's exciting for me is a first-time CEO to go build something that I co-designed.
He appreciates the fact that you want to. You built this thing up, and it's time for you to have some freedom.
And we paid for it in the profits of building the other business. So we have something that's operationally viable and proven. And so, it was one of the coolest things I've ever seen in business was how Gary handled that conversation, because he owned all of it. I mean, he could have said, you own nothing. And it was one of the nicest things I'd ever seen. And in most cases, because honestly, I had poor experiences from all my other managers. Honestly, most of the people were always trying to take something from me.
So let me ask you a question. So through the bad cubicle job and the bad onboarding to various different startups to then working at Vayner, like, what have you taken from each of those in terms of your own leadership style? How are you going to be as a CEO given all your experience?
Yeah, great question. The first one I always do is transparency. We are probably the most transparent company that you'll ever meet, to the point where we have open conversations with the entire company around whether they wanted profit sharing or equity. I actually let my entire company vote. And they get to pick as a team what structure we had so that they understood we're family.
Let us guess. I am going to say they chose equity.
They did.
100%.
100%.
All day long.
And it was the right pick. I was happy they did that. And we, as a CEO, I walked through the pros and cons of both sides and why you could pick each. And I talked about if you're in the long haul, short haul, and the team all voted together on what they wanted to do. Nice thing, everybody wanted the same thing, so it was great. And we have town halls every 2 weeks, and anyone can ask me anything on the team, and I will answer them directly. So the first one is transparency. The second one is care. I want to make people care, that I care, and that also that they know I care about them, right? I sat at those cubicles in some of those jobs, and I knew no one cared about me. It was the worst feeling in the world.
Right.
Yeah.
And so what I try to do is make it the opposite. I meet everybody's parents if I can. I show them care. I invite them to my home. Everybody knows that I care. So transparency was number one, because no one tells the truth up front, which I hated, and I wanted to know what was going on.
Yeah.
2, showing people that you care about them as human beings. And then the third one is I try to lead by example from the front. I am relentless about work. I love it. Everybody knows how passionate I am about it. I have it tattooed on my body. You can't deny that I don't care about work and being passionate about us winning.
By the way, I got in front of the company and said if we sold Mediaocean for over $1 billion, I would get a tattoo. And now, I'm scared that I might have to get the tattoo.
I don't think. No, that's a wonderful thing.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah. I don't have any tattoos.
Is it a face tattoo? Because can I vote on that? I want a face tattoo.
There are no lobster tattoos on you, are there?
Not yet.
And no Celtics tattoos?
Not yet.
Okay.
Yeah.
If there was an attribute that, or something that you're still trying to learn on as a leader that you're trying to prove upon, what is that? What is your awareness factor as you evolve and you become, your first-time CEO here, that you're like, this is something I need to learn or do more of?
I think the biggest thing is understanding how I come off to other people. I know I can be, loud and me and my personality, and so I'm always trying to get better at my delivery for each individual human being. Because translation is everything, and people understanding where you're coming from an intent perspective. And so, I always joke, I'm a 6'4" white male. Okay, that can come off sometimes in a certain way. I also tell people I grew up as a minority, and I was the only white person on my basketball team for many years. It can go both ways. My job as a senior leader is to get better at making sure that everybody can understand me as clearly as possible.
Right.
And that's what I'm trying to work on every day.
Yeah, that's great.
So a couple different questions.
Please.
We haven't talked about how you met your wife.
We have not. I love that story.
So
she hates it, but I love it.
So what job were you in? What time frame? What it is?
Oh yeah, so it was.
And how'd you meet?
25 years old. So this is a couple years after college. I was at iProspect at the time.
Okay.
I was actually at a company event at iProspect. So we were at a karaoke event. It was in a bar that no longer exists in the basement.
That's generally where karaoke
it was
places
really bad.
live,
Yeah,
downstairs.
What's your go-to song?
Mine is mostly a combination of Notorious B.I.G., Anything, okay? And I'm horrible at it, but I like that because it makes me laugh.
Yep.
Or I like to go Puff Daddy because I know most of the songs.
What's your go-to song?
I'm going to have to go with, if I'm at a wedding or something like that, and it's not going to be Puff, it's going to be a Piano Man, Billy Joel.
But who does karaoke at a wedding?
Well, not karaoke, but
I agree.
No, like
not karaoke.
Everyone should have a karaoke song that if they're put on the spot, they can pull it out.
So I go artist because I'm so bad at karaoke.
Yeah.
Honestly, I'm afraid to pick a song.
By the way, if you're really bad, you got to go crowd pleaser.
The one that I feel comfortable with without anything is Billy Joel's Piano Man. Would I prefer to go Puffy? You guys don't want to hear me P. Diddy or Biggie Smalls.
I'm really bad, so it's almost like I pick it on purpose to be that bad.
Yeah. Interesting.
So we were down there doing that. I think I was actually doing a Notorious B.I.G. song, and came upstairs. I'm wearing a plastic Michael Jackson fedora hat. I am absolutely drunk, like hammered. Okay, Boston proper hammered.
Yeah.
And I'm sitting with my boss at the time, Marge, and I was like, see that woman over there across the bar? I'm going home with her. Okay? And I've never met this woman. We've never talked. And I walk, and even better, this woman is getting hit on currently by two of my friends who are also hammered.
Yeah.
Okay? So I walk over, I push my friend Paul literally out of the way and say, hi, I'm Jeff. Nice to meet you. And it was my wife.
Wow.
Yeah. That's it.
Yeah.
2 kids later.
Yeah. So we're now married nearly 10 years, 2 kids, 5 and 2.5.
So hold on a second. So
go ahead.
We're missing a lot of pieces here. So,
by the way, she was stone sober, and this is the best part of the story. I tell her, I was like, you loved me so much that you wanted to engage with me.
And by the way,
I was drooling.
By the way, she hates that. She hates that. She hates that.
But she doesn't. Did she work at iProspect, or she was just a random at the karaoke bar?
Random stranger.
Okay. Was she with girlfriends?
Having a drink with one of her girlfriends. Very casual night. Lived down the street.
Okay. And you took her home that night?
We did go back to her apartment.
Yep.
Although I did not stay over. I'll give her a lot of credit. She's very respectable.
She gave you the hand.
But I told her, I was like, you at least left the bar with me.
Yeah.
Win for Jeff.
But she takes you home. She gives you the hand, but you get her number, you follow up. Do you follow up the next day immediately?
Okay, so this is why she's gonna really kill me for telling the full story. So went home, gave me the hand, but I did sleep there on the couch because I passed out.
Yeah, fair. Nothing wrong with that.
Hammered.
All right, that's good. That's fair.
Then she drove me to work the next day.
Do you like the?
And I was really late, by the way. I was like 11.
Do you like the pivot to the dating show, Superpowers dating show?
Yeah, I did like that.
I mean, we got we're learning some.
So
she's gonna kill me for saying this out loud.
So how long between your? So how long did you date before you proposed to her?
A couple years.
Couple years. Okay.
Yeah. So we dated.
And now she moved So you were at iProspect for a year and a half. So you met her during that. So you quickly moved down to New York shortly after.
I moved when I was 30. So it was 5 years. We were in Boston, so we did a couple years, kind of dating, a couple years in town, and then we had a house in Newburyport for a few years.
Okay.
So
all right.
Yeah. Well, sounds like an amazing partner in crime, because you got to have a good patient one North Star to tolerate building shit, right?
I mean, I always joke that most people that meet her always say, "Why would you marry Jeff?
Yeah,
she's amazing," and you're like, "You made a huge mistake."
Yeah.
No, she's a phenomenal person. I'm very lucky.
So Jeff, now you're on your Tracer's sailing ahead. Well, obviously, like any company, I'm sure there's ups and downs.
Is Tracer in the Vayner offices? Do you share office space with them?
We do currently, but we're going to actually be moving out.
That's when it's official.
So we're already in the process of doing so. Where we're looking for. Actually, I went yesterday for space. So.
Nice.
Okay. So you have this in front of you. Mm-hmm. You've had this incredible chapter with Vayner. Every time I see you, you're bleeding the tea, which I do appreciate.
Yeah.
Look at this.
It's on both sides too.
Get that up there. And definitely in a world of data and analytics and partners generally not understanding what to do with data, it's a perfect time for this business. You have all the backdrop of your experience with Vayner Brands. What are you hoping to sort of, one of my last questions. What are you hoping to achieve in the next couple of years as relates to the business?
Yeah, I mean, super simple. I just want to build a successful, fun tech business with my little brother and best friend.
Yeah.
I don't have any aspirations. I think a lot of people come out and set out and want to sell things and do these things. I really just want to enjoy the business we have and enjoy our clients. Like, we're invite only on purpose because we want to pick the partners that we add value to and have them appreciate it. Mm-hmm. And so I just really want to run the business. I want to have people join us who want to learn and grow with us as a team and have fun.
If somebody wants to join you, so there's someone's out there right now,
Mm-hmm.
they're like, oh, I like this guy, I like the sound of Tracer. What's the best subject line to get your attention? What's that email I need to say to bust through and get some Jeff time to get
I want to
Jeff?
work at Tracer. Okay. Super simple. Okay. I want people who want to work for us and want to do the right thing and be part of a growing team.
Awesome.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
So Bill, let's get your summary of Jeff's superpowers. And
so this has been incredible getting to know you because we've met a couple times, but like I feel like we dug into this one.
Well, you have to be up past 12 to catch these opportunities,
dude. I'm a late night guy. I stay up later than you.
I say that to deflect any attention around me. Just
show the picture you just showed.
If you guys can't tell what's happening here.
Yeah. I don't like being painted as the old guy. This is not why I started this podcast. So what's incredible is just how hard you hit stuff. Like you hustle. But and I think in the beginning, and I think your parents played a pivotal role here where you were hustling with no purpose, end in sight. You like basketball. You're going to play hard. You're going to work hard, play hard. You're going to play some hoops. You're going to do it. What's incredible, I think your superpower was the shift from just this like endless hustle without a purpose to being a very focused hustle, and surrounding yourself in that hustle with people that you deeply care about. Right? What I loved was hearing you say, I started this with my best friend, and I just want to, create Tracer with my little brother and great friend, and I would create it's for you, it's not the ending and the success and the out. Like so many people are like, I started this company and I can't wait for the exit. That's the success. For you, the success is the journey and the hustle of the journey.
Everyone asked me why I got the tattoo already.
Yeah,
and I told them I already won.
I
already.
I'm doing what I want to do. I'm doing what I want to do.
I joke all the time.
I have my favorite job.
I breathe.
Yeah.
I breathe every day, and I have a smile on my face, and it's so easy.
Yeah.
And that's perspective, and I appreciate it, and it's 100% true. It's like I'm focused, I'm relentless, but like honestly, for me, it's like I got the tattoo because it's like I'm doing exactly what I want.
Yeah. I think Bill summarizes it well, and for a 6-foot-tall white guy, that to also, I mean, look, you touched on a lot of things. You've mentioned, kindness. You've mentioned family. You've mentioned, taking care of people, inviting people. Like, however, that sort of stuff.
I love I meet their parents if I can.
100%.
Yeah, so
love that.
All those
100%.
things. I don't know, how to sort of synthesize that as a superpower. Maybe it's understanding humans. Maybe it's empathy. Maybe it's, it sounds like it really kind of boiled down to where we started in Massachusetts and this family presence and what you learn from your mom and your dad, your mom's hustle. I'm not joking, Bill. We will have all the moms of these amazing
the
guests.
dads. I got to get
or the dads.
My parents.
But
I
think you learned some incredible characteristics and values from your family and from your brothers and everything, and that you've been able to sort of take that and package it with you and ensure that you kept those same principles as an entrepreneur. I think that's what your superpower is.
I want to refine mine slightly to say that so many people judge success on the outcome. And I think you judge success by the journey. Yeah. And you enjoy it. You genuinely enjoy it. And that is something we all need to learn, right? Because so many people are hustling to get that outcome, and you just got to fucking enjoy the
journey.
Process.
Enjoy the journey.
Because then what happens when you get it?
Yeah.
What do? What's the next day?
Yeah.
Then you're going to ask the same question anyway. You're going to go back to grinding.
Yeah.
Well, Jeff, such a pleasure to every time we spend time together. This is fun because in these occasions you dig deep and you actually uncover more than you actually realize. So such a pleasure to have you on. Can't wait to watch the future success of Tracer and kind of craziness as well. We'll be rooting for you.
And by the way, anyone who's interested in Tracer, don't reach out because it's invite only. They will reach out to you if you're worthy.
No, you figure out if you can fill out the lead form, then we might pick you as I
And if you really want to get the tatty.
If
you get the tat, I will take you as a client immediately.
Jeff, thanks for coming to the Superpowers podcast show, man. It was a pleasure. Thank you
so much.
Awesome. Thank you.
Superpowers.